Hello, users, and welcome to another episodic installation of Above It All, the series in where I talk about politics. And real quick before we get in, here's a Fox News article, of course, but real quick before I start the video outright, I'm going to be doing more of these, at least that's the current plan. I normally would upload around 3 Above It All videos a day. I'm thinking of changing that to 5. And I'm going to be covering a lot more stuff, a lot more topics, and a lot more range of ideas going to be discussed here, because I feel like that's important, and I want to just put out more positivity and out more knowledge into the world. So I'm thinking about uploading about 5 of these a day. So just we'll see how that goes, and I'd reserve the right to change that at any time. But with that being said, we have got a Fox article here. Former Sanders campaign official wants progressives to go crazy and take Dems hostage. So I've got the clip here Nina Turner was on. Jordan Sheridan's Status Coup, which I feel like is a pretty good channel. I like Jordan. He's a little wacky, but who isn't these days? So let's just see what Nina has to say.
We have a federal government who has the biggest stick but refuses to act. They don't hesitate to make money for multinational corporations.
All right, so let's start this over.
We have a federal government who has the biggest stick but refuses to act. They don't hesitate to make money for multinational corporations, for the ultra wealthy in this country, but they hesitate. They got to call commissions and councils to study when it comes to putting a down payment on Main Street. What I would love to see the progressive movement do, from the progressive members of the House of Representatives and progressive members who may be in the Senate, is to go crazy. Maybe take a page out of the Tea Party book for good and hold the Democratic Party hostage until they do something on behalf of the American people. It's not hard.
So real quick, for those of you that don't understand, the Tea Party was like a movement. When I started kind of paying attention to politics in like 2012 during that presidential year, that's when the Tea Party was big. Like these were these bunch of because back in 2012, I was mainly like my internet usage was like, I'm an edgy atheist and I'm going to look up atheism videos. And the Tea Party was like a very highly religious, like fanatic thing. It was like, like Republicans were starting to say like, maybe gay people aren't the worst in the world. And then like the Tea Party people were like, it's bad enough we've got a black guy as president, but now the gays are okay too. So they just went really crazy, and there were just like these far-right lunatics that basically took hostage of the Republican Party and kind of morphed it into what it is right now. Where like now the Republican Party is like literally, I think, as of the next session of Congress, assuming I don't keep track of every single House election, but I think every single non-white member of the Republican Party in Congress is retiring at the end of this term. So maybe someone will pick up the slack there, but I don't know. So we're turning into a very interesting situation. But the thing here is that like strategy and power is something that the right wing excels at. They've got the courts on lock. They convinced everyone that abortion is the most important thing in the world, and with that with that conviction that they've got, they say like, okay, so abortion's my top priority, and what's the best way to make sure abortion never happens? Oh, just pack the courts with a bunch of right-wing Looney Tunes? Alright, so that's one of the things that's super, obnoxious about the liberal establishment, is that they don't look at the Obama legacy. He lost 1,000 seats in state legislatures and all that kind of stuff over the course of his tenure, and that's a bad leader. Like, Obama was one of the worst presidents as far as time goes. He was well positioned at this vital moment in U.S. history to completely reshape U.S. politics. And instead, what he did was he gave people the illusion of that while he secretly dismantled all progressive, reform packages and dismantled Obama, I think it was like Obama for America groups and stuff like that. Just completely dismantled all of the organizational power to get anything done. And then on top of that is he wouldn't focus on any state legislatures. It was all national politics. And sure, that got us some decent legitimate things like gay marriage, for example. But I mean, for the most part, it just put everyone to sleep, and then he just secretly dismantled everything. So, like, Obama, terrible guy. And at this point, Nina Turner is one of those people that I'm keeping an eye on. Now that Bernie is kind of out of the picture, we have to really kind of look on to who's going to take that mantle. Nina Turner, if she runs in 2024, she should be a senator. Whatever she runs in, I'm going to 1000% support her because she is just an amazing person. I had a conversation with her in South Carolina when I was working with the campaign, and she's just really fun, energetic, and just like very passionate about things that matter, and it's important. But yeah, like the thing is, like, the Tea Party people basically took over the Republican Party by just going crazy. Running all these wild ass motherfuckers. Like, I think it was Mark Meadows was someone who was like, the way he got elected was one of the things was he kept saying Obama was born in Kenya, and he's going to research whether or not Obama was born in Kenya and kick him out for being illegitimate, and he's still in Congress. So that's what we need to do. It really, like, this is like, the whole Bernie or bust thing, the whole fuck around and find out thing. This is like we can't just say fuck around and find out, and then, like, when they make Joe Biden like the nominee via cheating, okay, cool, I guess I'll vote green now. Anyway, so I'm gonna play the rest of this clip.
And especially in the face of COVID, George, people hedged on that debate stage, Medicare for all who choose, or they worked so hard to get that health care on their job. Don't take it away from them. Well, we know that COVID-19 has blown the roof off of all of the rhetoric and the lies and the illusion that health care tied to one's job does not work. 33 million people unemployed and climbing, on top of the almost 90 million people who are already underinsured and uninsured. And guess what? They don't have health care. So if the COVID-19 virus, Jordan, doesn't move these people, if people literally dying, Black people dying at 4 times the rate as white people during the COVID virus because of comorbidities, and we can have another conversation about that, on top of the structural racism, it makes Black people more vulnerable. If that doesn't move these folks, I don't know what else will.
And again, really the most important thing here that you can do as far as making people despise the Democratic establishment is just showcase that kind of message. It's like, look at all that's what's happening. Look at all that is currently going on. COVID is like kind of like climate change on fast forward. It's kind of like dystopian capitalism on fast forward. So people are finding out in real time what took 30, 40 years for other people to figure out in like slow, like kind of beating down. And now there's this giant class awakening that people are going to have. And we need to take advantage of that. There's the old saying, never let a crisis go to waste. And we can't let this crisis go to waste. Like, we can theoretically come out of this, especially considering the primary isn't over. We can theoretically come out of this with a Bernie Sanders nomination just from the fact that Joe Biden is like the Titanic right now. And if we have enough pressure, we could get it done. Now, the problem is, again, the liberal establishment does not care about you. Now, here's the thing that's really, really painful here, is the Democratic elite, the people that control the party, do not care if they win or lose. And that is a powerful card to play, because the thing about it is we being the people that are relatively intelligent and understand that human life is sacred and should be protected, are fighting for our own lives. And when people are fighting for their own lives, it distorts what they're able to do. So the Democratic establishment has their life taken care of. They are going to be paid no matter what happens. If Trump is president for another 30 years, they're going to be fine, because the people writing their checks are rich motherfuckers, right? So that means they get to spend all of their time, not just their free time, not just whatever time they allot, like not just, like maybe every Wednesday or so, like have like a brunch day with the queens, but like, no, they get to spend all of their time figuring out a way to make sure that the left flank of the Democratic Party does not take control. And up until this point, they have been extraordinarily successful, more successful than anyone, I think, 3 or 4 months ago would have been able to predict, especially myself. And so that's the thing is, you need to take away the feeding spoon. You need to find a way to destroy that network. And this is where the whole cancel culture thing, is just really odd. Like this whole thing where like if someone says something remotely stupid, like you just try to make everyone unfollow them on Twitter. We need to take that and combine that with like a boycott kind of idea, and we need to figure out a way to like cut off the funnels to the Democratic elites, the ones that are controlling the party, the Nancy Pelosi's, like the people that Nancy employs, those people. Because really, the politicians themselves are just puppets. It's really the staffers, it's really the advisors, the lobbyists that control everything. If you can find a way to disrupt that supply chain, and I'm sure that there's a great way to do that during the COVID crisis, then you could totally, at that point, control the vacuum. Now, the problem here is, again, the Republican establishment was not too competent in controlling their right-wing flank. The Democratic establishment has learned a lot from that failure to control their left flank. And that's the thing, is really the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are both one party, the corporate party. And it's just one of them is a vehicle to control the right-wing crazies, which they failed to do. And the other one is a vehicle to control people on the left from realizing how fucked up everything is and trying to change it. So, yeah, going crazy, that's an option. Now, if there weren't a pandemic, I think there'd be mass protests, over this whole nomination thing, canceling primaries and everything. But because of COVID, people are too busy fighting for their lives to really take advantage of this crisis. And that's one of the problems. And again, this is why mutual aid networks are so important. Because again, if someone gets laid off and you can say, yo, I will make sure you're fed. I will make sure your family is fed. I will do my best to make sure that you can pay rent, or like at the very least make it so you don't have to pay rent. But what I ask in return is for you to join me in fighting against the Democratic elite. Join me in fighting against the people that control this country. And that's the kind of networks that we need to build. If you're in a situation where you've got money to spend, first of all, patreon.com/Saturday531, duh. But second of all, call up anyone in your community, food banks, local organizing, make sure people in your town are taken care of, and then see, reciprocal, see if they can, reciprocity, there's a form of this word that I can't, I don't know, I just can't figure out what the form of speech here is, but see if they can, reciprocate. Is that it? See if they can reciprocate that? I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry. But that's the thing, is building the strength, because a lot of people when they look at politics, they'll go like, oh, this someone knocks on my door every 4 years and that's it. If you build those connections with them, maybe in 2024 we can do something. But obviously my politics, I would prefer to have no 2024. I would prefer to just destroy the White House and all the institutions. But, that's just me. And that's not going to happen anytime soon. But, we have a chance here to take advantage of a potential vacuum. And, obviously with the whole COVID thing, the Democratic Party has failed. They have fundamentally failed. The Republican Party has successfully outflanked them on the left by giving people money, and people that don't pay attention to politics, they get a check in the mail with Donald Trump's name on it. That profoundly impacts them. If it's like, oh, what are the Democrats doing? I don't know, I just got a check with fucking Trump money on it, and I just bought a new TV or something like that, and then every time they look at that TV, they'll go like, yep, that's my Trump TV. That kind of thing, it resonates with people, and we're in a very perfect opportunity to create this network, to create a storm. Now again, it all depends on whether or not we create this network, and that's why people like Nina Turner are super important. Because Bernie Sanders, whether you like him or not, he's an electoral guy. He is someone that has faith in the institutions of this country that almost anybody who's under the age of 78 will not have. And that's his main weak point, is he has faith in the electoral process, and he thinks that people in the Democratic Party genuinely are trying to help people, and that's just not true. And we can, make fun of him or attack him or whatever as much as you want, but that's a waste of time. Anyone that goes on Bernie's Twitter account and calls him a dumb fuck on all of his replies, that time could be much more well spent calling his office, trying to get him to unsuspend his campaign or something like that. Even then, I think that's a long shot. I think electoralism, for the most part, is just kind of like a time waster. Um, because really the thing is, like, if you do build these mutual aid networks, you will be able to impact electoralism as a result. Like, that's what unions are for. Like, if you can say, like, build like, say your town is 5,000 people, just for the sake of argument, and you can get 1,000 of them on board with a specific message, right? That group strength that you have from solidarity will be able to take part in any electoral thing. So if there's like a city council race, you can say like, oh, we have 20% of the entire city or town that agrees with this set of policies. You have to agree with it, and then we can help you win your race and that kind of thing. Like, unless you have outside leverage, there's no reason for people to interact with you. And then on top of that, when the Democratic Party is in a position where they don't care if they win or lose, they're like, people are saying like, oh, we'll withhold our vote, and then Joe Biden will lose. They don't care. They don't give a shit. You need to impact their bottom line, and that's the important part here. And that's what Nina Turner is advocating for, to go crazy, take the Democratic Party hostage, and it's a message I agree with 1,000%. And hopefully you can glean some sort of information off of my video. But if not, that's okay too. Thank you for watching, and seriously though, give me money on Patreon. Like I'm just saying, like, I make some good content. I'm really trying. I got $69 a month. It would be, hey, stop it. It would be a lot better if it were $699 a month. I've only got 23 patrons, yet I've got 5,400 YouTube subscribers. Someone do the math here. Pick up some slack. I got 10 notifications on Twitter, and none of them are giving me money on Patreon. I don't know why. But anyway, thank you for watching. I'm going to do a lot more of these videos. I'm going to try to be a lot more theoretical, try to make them a little bit longer as well. People have told me that one of the things about Above It All that they would like is if it were longer. My response is, if you want to hear me talk, watch my video game videos. But hey, you know what? I'm just going to try to go all in on this stuff as well. So, I have no other message. Tune in for the next video. Goodbye. See ya. Get the hell out of here. Go. Leave. Get out.